So the Pirates just gave a 19-year-old shortstop the biggest contract in franchise history. It's significant, it's risky, it's also exactly what this club absolutely had to do.
You are Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast network in all of the land. And it is your team every single day. I'm Gary Morgan, former editor over at Steel City Pirates. I've been covering this team since 2019. I'm a lifelong Pirates fan. If you're an everydayer, I appreciate you being here because today is a major one. We've got three segments today. First, the Pirates made the biggest commitment in franchise history, locking up Konnor Griffin through 2034. We're going to talk about why this is different than anything we've seen before. Segment two, I've got thoughts on not only Mitch Keller getting pulled yesterday in the game, but really something that I've kind of seen Don Kelly doing a lot with his starting pitchers. And in segment three, Marcel Ozuna. There's going to be a 3-day rest here. Is it an injury or is this a reset? We're going to talk all through it. But first, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. All right, your Pittsburgh Pirates just signed Konnor Griffin, 19 years old, to a 9-year, $140 million extension with escalators that can push it up to $150 million, locking him up through 2034. This is the largest contract in Pirates history, bigger than Bryan Reynolds, who was the biggest at the time, bigger than Mitch Keller, who was the biggest at that time, and it happened days after Griffin made his MLB debut. That timing really matters, I think, because you do not give this contract unless you believe internally three things. The player is already a big leaguer mentally. The makeup is as elite as the tools. And this guy is the face of the franchise. That third one isn't speculation. Even Paul Skenes acknowledged that, basically said it out loud, calling Griffin the face of the Pirates for a long time. Griffin is the 9th overall pick in 2024 out of Jackson Prep. And since then, he has done exactly what elite prospects are supposed to do. He's moved quickly. He's adjusted faster than expected. And he's looked comfortable before anyone planned for him to be. Early hits, early RBIs, controlled at bats, no panic, no rush. Even when he didn't have instant success after his first at bat in the majors, you didn't see a difference in his game at all. This isn't the Pirates buying just arbitration years. This is the Pirates saying we're kind of locking some things in here. There's something important about where Griffin plays too. Shortstop, it's a premium position, defensive flexibility, leadership position on the field. When you stack this with Bryan Reynolds and Mitch Keller and now Griffin, you're seeing something that we genuinely have not seen from this franchise. And it's identification of a core early, an actual commitment to it. Is it risky? Absolutely. It is aggressive. Very. But if you've been begging this team to act like they believe in a window, this is what this looks like. If you've been begging this team to lock up young players, well, look around the league at what's happening with young players. This is what's starting to happen. And for once, the Pirates aren't going to be 15 years behind a trend. They're jumping on it when everyone else is. It's a risky move, okay? But it's only risky insofar as like it's always risky to sign guys long term. And it's even more risky when you haven't really seen them completely proven out yet. there's an awful lot to lead you to believe Konnor Griffin is going to be a really, really good generational type player for years to come here in Pittsburgh. I believe in him. Team clearly believes in him. I'm sure a lot of you do. That said, I can't tell you, like, if this was my money and I was this team executive, that my hand wouldn't be trembling a little bit signing on to something that you just can't see fully yet. This isn't the same as signing somebody that has already done it for 3, 4, 5 years in the majors to a big contract to bring them in. That said, the Pirates right now, even on the cusp of the economic system potentially changing, are basically saying, like, listen, change or not, we just do not want to worry about this guy not being a Pirate for a while. This is what you have to do. This is what the league is starting to do. Konnor Griffin could be the face of this franchise. I actually found that to be one of the more compelling storylines here. You know, I felt like Paul Skenes saying that was significant. It's a significant quote from Paul Skenes, who himself has been and will continue to be, I think, to a large degree, the face of this franchise until he's not. Maybe that's what he's preparing for. Maybe he's just already accepted the eventuality that Konnor's going to outlive his time here. Because this was one of the number one questions that got brought up, not only because fans like to move the goalpost. Of course they do. You know, a week and a half ago, all you wanted was Konnor Griffin to get extended. And as soon as it happened, I knew right away it was going to turn to now do Skenes, now do Cruz, now do... Skenes is not the same as Konnor Griffin. The Pirates probably would have signed him to something very, very similar had Paul Skenes expressed even slight interest in having the conversation. You can say whatever you want about Paul, and I don't think he's unhappy here in Pittsburgh. And I certainly think that if the CBA significantly changes baseball, the Pirates will have an opportunity to extend Paul Skenes. They'll have the same opportunity everyone else does, at least. And showing the investment here in the team before the Pirates would have said system change is probably more important to Paul than doing the things right after you have financial security in place. So I think the Pirates are at least putting in the steps here that would make Paul feel comfortable should he decide he wants to stay. But reality is all in that quote. Paul knows who the face of the franchise is and probably doesn't expect to be here with him for most of it. And that's a sad reality that nobody wants to talk about. I'm sure it's not part of the celebration of signing Konnor Griffin, but when your ace, who has literally been the face of your franchise, says something like that, it's pretty significant to me. It's not just nice. The other side of it, I just thought was really cool, was all the players supporting him in the room and everything. There seemed to be some people that were a little concerned that this signing would rub people the wrong way. And I'm not here to call you crazy, because Konnor himself, it was one of the first questions he asked the team. How's my teammates going to take this? And, you know, they want to win. They all understand exactly what a player like that contributes to that effort. So I think ultimately they were all just excited for him. Are there some people that probably feel like they should be getting an extension offer? Sure. But I just don't think that players interact the way fans expect they do. They are genuinely pretty happy for each other whenever they get contracts and whatnot. And guys like Oneil Cruz in particular, you know, nobody knows better than Oneil Cruz how up and down and difficult his journey has been to be here. And really that what he's done so far this season is not enough of a sample size to erase all that. What he's done is pushed himself into a different category of player. You're not going to get that kind of extension early on when you're a raw project. When you're a fairly proven out project, that's when you get that kind of contract. There's a reason that there aren't a ton of these. These happen because a player is extraordinary, the circumstances fit, there's a willingness on both sides. I mean, Konnor and his family have, actually, Connor's dad, Kevin, has pretty much already put out there that Konnor wants to wear one uniform his entire career. And, the Pirates have taken the first half of his career. I mean, kid's going to hit free agency before he's even 30. So, he still could have yet another, like, almost Juan Soto type contract in him. Who knows, 9 years from now, what that'll look like. And if baseball changes significantly, maybe it's even more plausible that this isn't just going to be 9 years of Konnor Griffin. We could have 15 of them, maybe. There's a lot of things that can change. But this shouldn't cast a shadow on other players they haven't managed to sign yet, or players that you think they should. I don't believe there's anybody in that room that feels hard done by, especially Paul, because Paul's the reason that they haven't had these discussions. So it's risky, this sort of thing. But if you don't play the game, you're not playing the game. If you're not going to jump in and do things like this, well, what are you playing? You're not playing Major League Baseball. This is the sort of stuff you've got to do to make yourself relevant. Keep yourself in it. They're going to have to start thinking about doing it with some of their younger pitchers too. Like we talk about guys that you might be able to do it with. Personally, I would be approaching guys like Bubba Chandler or even Jared Jones. Jared Jones coming back from the injury, you might be able to approach him with a long-term extension if you feel like he's coming along well. Problem is, I'm not 100% sure the team can say, yes, he's a starter and we believe in his health and he's going to be able to do this for X amount of time. It's why it takes a special player. And it's so hard to do. But the Pirates would be wise to look to do something very similar to what they just did with Konnor Griffin with Bubba Chandler. You believe in the talent. You think it's Major League ready. Obviously, health is always a concern with pitchers, but you can't turn your nose up at what Bubba Chandler could be and how significant it would be to have him longer term. If you're talking about building windows, this is something you have to do. That said, with the CBA changing, maybe you don't want to lock yourself into a whole bunch of stuff. So many ways to think about this, and it's all spawned from one great decision this team made that they absolutely had to. And we as fans, we should thank Konnor for being willing to do it. It's a pretty big commitment and risk on his part too, based on the history of this team. Let's take a quick break and let's come back and let's talk about a quick hook that I think is developing from Mr. Kelly. The NBA playoffs are here, where every possession matters. Every matchup is magnified, and one big moment can swing an entire series. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on the action. Here's what I like about it. You can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. FanDuel's app also makes it incredibly easy to follow what's happening, player stats, trends, and matchup data all in one place. And during the playoffs, that kind of information really matters when you're weighing stars, role players, and those late game situations. And even if you're bouncing between sports, there's always something to look at. For example, on Tuesday, April 7th, today, Paul Skenes and the Pirates are listed as favorites against the Padres, with Pittsburgh around minus 148 on the money line and minus 1.5 on the run line. If you're looking at player props, Skenes' strikeout total is set at 6.5, with the over sitting right around minus 118. That type of context makes the experience more engaging from start to finish. You're not just watching, you're understanding what's actually at stake. So head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's the stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all the boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching, more time actually interviewing candidates who check all the boxes, less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Hey everybody, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. If you want ad-free episodes or access to the Locked On Pirates Discord and more direct interaction with me, check out the Everydayer Club. It's $5 a month or $50 a year, or right now you can use the promo code FINALLY to get a free month of access. Go check it out. There's a link down in the show notes for the Supercast. Why did Mitch Keller get pulled in yesterday's ball game? I really thought he was rolling, right? I really felt it was just an example that I've seen a few times already this season. Efficiency's there, stuff's playing, command's fine. And then suddenly we're at 6 innings, 70 some pitches, and the bullpen door swings open. like you had no choice in the matter. I didn't really feel like this was a protect the arm situation. I didn't feel like he was losing his stuff. It feels to me like more this is just pre-planned limitations on starting pitching early on. Again, the innings puzzle is very real in Major League Baseball. I make no bones about that. That it's something that all management, period, no matter whether they're the front office or actually on the field, worry about putting together the innings load for an entire season. They do, and I understand why. And they have legitimate data on what keeps players healthy, at least what they think keeps players healthy, and they try to execute it. Mitch Keller has been very healthy throughout his career. And I guess maybe that kind of goes into the don't nitpick this team category as far as how they're handling pitching, because if you really think about it, they have been significantly more lucky with health to their starting rotation and arms in general than a whole lot of other ball clubs. Really, think about what they've actually suffered here. Johan Oviedo had that Tommy John. It's been traded. Looks like he's going to have another one, sadly, by the way, in case you haven't heard. And then Jared Jones. Those are the two really that have happened significantly under Ben Cherington that were our guys anyway. They had a couple like Vinny Velasquez they brought in who needed Tommy John, and they've had a couple nerve damage guys that they brought in, but nobody that they've homegrown anyway. And Mitch Mitch is as close to proven science as baseball is going to get. So I guess part of me wants to not nitpick them too much on that because it's proven out how to take care of Mitch Keller at this point. So my guess is they have it pretty fine-tuned as to how they want to ramp him up and what's effective and what keeps him going. That said, I have seen a Mitch Keller that gets tired in the second half of the season. And I would think like you would have more of an overall slow ramp up into that if that's what you wanted to do with Mitch, just stretches innings out early in the season by shortening his outings. Point is, you have a 0-0 ball game that's a pitcher's duel, and Mitch Keller is very much so keeping up with his opponent, if not outclassing him, frankly. I thought he looked better than Michael King yesterday for most of the day. I really did. Fully admitting the Pirates could not solve Michael King. But Mitch Keller was rolling. He had another inning in him. I didn't understand the feeling that they had to pull him there. I don't have a problem with going with the bullpen. The bullpen has been good. And I don't have a problem with going with Justin Lawrence. He's also been good. And early in the season, you can look at their numbers and you can decide like this guy stinks because his ERA is blah, blah, blah. But when you're basing things on 2 outings or whatever, 3 outings, it doesn't really mean what you think it means. It's really more of a how often does this guy give me a clean inning thing. That's the way I look at it early in the season. So if a guy has given me 2 out of 3 outings that were clean, okay, I consider him to be fairly trustworthy. Let's see how it plays out. You got a guy who's had 4, 5, 6 outings and hasn't given up a run. Okay. Now you got somebody that you really trust. That's the way I look at it. Early in the season, I think you can have one blow up really screw up everybody's visual of you. Justin Lawrence, though, is a shaky guy. There are days when you ain't going to hit him, and there are days when he's not going to hit the zone. Or the slider, or that sweeper that he throws just is not breaking the way it normally does. And that happened to him yesterday. That Frisbee slider, it just went away. It just was not breaking the way it was supposed to, and he was getting lit up like a downtown Christmas tree. I saw some people like, well, he walked that first guy, and then he gave up 2 rockets. Why wouldn't they replace him like right away? All I can really say is when you bring in a reliever and he's expected to give you an inning, very rarely are coaches stacking guys in the bullpen to start throwing them before that inning starts. You expect that guy to get through. That's why you see all the delay tactics and visits to the mound to slow things down so that you can get a reliever up and ready. Major League Baseball put in that role that pitchers have to face the minimum of 3 batters when they get called in from the bullpen. And I get it. But the Pirates, and most teams for that matter, don't really have to worry about it because they're not stacking the bullpen anymore when they bring in a reliever. It's very much so, this is your inning, here you go. If there's a disaster, it often forms way too fast to react to it in the bullpen. A walk and 2 hard hit singles can happen in a matter of 5 minutes physically. And that's what happened to Justin Lawrence. By the time that took place, you weren't getting anybody up fast enough to prevent him from facing another batter or 2, at least. So, did Don Kelly lose yesterday's game? Has he lost a couple games this year, pulling guys out? We saw him pull Paul Skenes out early, and it worked out. They ended up winning. We've seen them do this a couple times. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Every time it doesn't work out, are we going to come on here and talk about it like he's screwing the pooch with the team? Or do we just kind of scientifically drop back and eat it because they know what they're doing mechanically. I think that I'd like to see Don Kelly manage a little bit less from a script. That's all. I'd like to see, yeah, we planned on X amount of innings for Mitch, but boy, did he look extra comfortable today. Boy, did he do it efficiently. He has so many pitches left to give that we didn't think he would. I'd like to be able to see Don Kelly decide, yeah, I know what I said, but let's do 7 innings. Mitch, you've got it in you. And I could really afford you helping me take this home. I think that's the best way that we're going to win. And plus, I want you to qualify for a win. Ain't nobody scored yet. You know, I just think like there's got to be a little bit more flexibility there that I just have not seen quite yet from Don Kelly. And I'm hoping that some of the early season mechanisms that create some of this crap, they kind of fade away as the season goes on, and we start to really get to see Don Kelly push buttons himself with less restrictions. But this team plan stuff, more often than not, the decisions that spawn from it just don't make a lot of sense in game. And this team, I don't think, can afford to play games with anything in this situation. They have got to win every game in front of them. And when you have a guy going like Mitch was yesterday, I want to see him come out and keep going. You have to discount everything I said at some point, though, and just put one moniker over top of it, too. We don't know everything they know. There could literally be something that they're seeing in Mitch Keller's mechanics, or even a slight tick down in something, or there's one characteristic of a pitch that pops up when he's really starting to get tired and we're not seeing it. You have to give that ability to the coaching staff to see that sort of thing. And I do. But that doesn't make it any less frustrating when I'm watching a game. Yes, the result was bad yesterday, and that's why we're complaining about it. If the bullpen had held it and the Pirates, had squeaked that one out and won the ball game, we're probably not talking about it a whole lot, except for when it initially happened. But I just need a little less script and a little more gut, I think. I just think Don Kelly is a gut-type manager, and he's doing himself a disservice by not using it. Let's take a quick break and come back, and let's talk about another decision that Don Kelly's kind of in the midst of here. Marcel Ozuna. Is he going through a reset, or are we about to see a fake injury?
Hey, this is Jeff Carr from Locked On Reds, and when it comes to our futures, we all have great ideas when it comes to our job, when it comes to our house, when it comes to our vehicles, all that great stuff. But honestly, when it comes to securing that future, I don't know what I don't know. And when me and my wife sat down to figure out the life insurance thing, Ethos made everything simple. Everything's online, you have a quick and easy application process, and you find out exactly what you need for coverage all in one spot. Ethos makes everything so convenient when it comes to learning about your own life insurance, because insurance is something that is far beyond batting average or on-base percentage. It's way out in left field for me. Ethos made it all easy. Take just 10 minutes and get covered today with life insurance through Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/lockedonmlb. That's ethos.com/lockedonmlb. Application times may vary and rates may vary.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Locked On Pirates. Marcel Ozuna is going through a 3-day reset, I'll call it. And if you've watched baseball long enough, those words should probably immediately trigger your internal alert system. Because here's how this usually ends. Lower body tightness or general soreness or just needs a few days. And then you get a little phantom IL stint, depending on how the work is going that they're trying to do. Maybe this 3 days helps. Maybe the reset works. But this has kind of been building. The swings, the timing, the decision making. Teams love to use these moments to quietly buy time without publicly calling it a demotion. Okay. It wouldn't shock me at all if this turns into a roster management move disguised as recovery. We'll see, but we have to keep an eye on it because these days rarely stay this way in April. You end up making decisions pretty quickly with stuff. Ozuna's not in danger of being cut or anything, but I really think like Marcell Ozuna is an extra hard guy to cipher what's going on. You can't just necessarily look at him and say his swing looks like crap because let's be real, he doesn't really have a very pretty swing, and he never has. Even as effective as he's been, he's never had a beautiful right-handed swing. He's just a strong dude that hits the ball hard. You know what I mean? It don't look pretty when he does it all the time. He's not one of those statuesque righties that finishes like with the two hands and looks like he got every ounce of that baseball. Like that's not the type of hitter he has ever been. This little reset, I'll call it, until it's something else, I think was just the timing's off. It's not working. Let's get him down for a few days. Let's get some of these other guys rotating through the DH spot, take advantage of it, get some rest for other guys in the process here. And let's get Marcell Ozuna off of his feet and away from like thinking about his stroke for just a little bit. Let's come back into this Cubs series ready to go. They're going to come right back into it facing a lefty right away. So Marcell Ozuna is going to have an opportunity, I think, to jump right back into this lineup, and I think he should. You really do need him to take off. Wrigley is a good place for him to play. I think it's a good opportunity for him, even if he gets a wind-aided home run or something that just falls because, Wrigley's got those real deep corners, where you can kind of surprise somebody and pop one over their head a little bit. Marcell Ozuna needs some things like that to happen. And I think this little stretch of getting him 3 days off in a row will wind up feeling a little smart by the time we're done. I'd like his chances to rebound. I've liked his chances to produce this whole year. He obviously is off to a terrible start. But again, we're like 11 games in, and I think he's not played like 3 of them already, 4 or 5 of them now. So Ozuna has definitely caught the coaching staff's eye as somebody that I don't necessarily have to have in this lineup all the time, or I've got to figure something out with him. I guarantee they're working very hard to get him there. But maybe they found at the end of the day the best thing to do is just to get him out of the lineup for a few days, let him reset. Let's let him have a restart on the season. Let's just like pretend that what we have seen is not there. He's starting with the team on day 1 in Chicago, and let's see how it goes from there. The power is very big and significant, and if he can figure it out, even just to a degree, even if it's just what he did last year, I don't need him to be what he was a couple years ago. I just need him to provide power somewhere in the middle of that order from the right side. And if he can do that, Marcell Ozuna is a great signing. This won't be the last attempt to fix him that we see if this doesn't work. But that's what I expect this is. I don't think it's an injury. I think we would have started to hear things by now if they wanted to float that. Frankly, I think they could have made a roster move or two, if he was really, really hurt. I think we'll see him probably come back and after a reset period here and give it another go. And I think it'll be a significant go too. I don't think it's going to be like an every other day thing. I think they'll let him go for, a good week where he plays 6 games out of 7 and see what you get. You have to. And now's the time to do it too. I mean, you got to figure it out earlier than later, because you're going to have a contingency plan if it isn't going to work out. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the Bucks opening a series in Chicago against the Cubs. They have their own challenges to deal with early on. A lot of injuries. Pitching staff has already taken quite a hit. But until then, we're serious about Pirates baseball, because somebody has to be. Let's go Bucks.